By the time Johnny Depp reached his mid-teens, the concept of home had already become something abstract rather than stable. His family moved frequently, crossing state lines and shifting environments so often that permanence never had time to settle in. Each new place meant new schools, new faces, and the quiet task of learning how to adapt quickly or be left behind. While this instability cultivated resilience and independence, it also left an emotional imprint, a lingering sense of rootlessness that would follow him into adulthood. Depp has spoken openly about the confusion and emotional dislocation of those years, describing childhood as a period shaped less by security and more by survival. Yet even amid that uncertainty, creativity became a refuge. Music, drawing, and storytelling offered him a sense of control in a world that felt unpredictable, planting the seeds for an artistic life that would eventually give him both expression and escape. Finding identity through creativity. As adolescence unfolded, creativity became more than a pastime. It became a lifeline. Music in particular offered Depp a way to process emotions he couldn't yet articulate. Bands, guitars, and late-night rehearsals became a sanctuary, allowing him to define himself on his own terms rather than through circumstance. This creative instinct would later extend to acting, where he gravitated toward characters who were outsiders, misfits, or quietly wounded, reflections perhaps of his own inner world. Even before fame entered the picture, there was a sense that art was not about attention or recognition, but about survival. Creativity gave him a voice before he knew how to use one, and it would remain a constant even as his life grew more complex. Fame arrives, faster than stability. When Hollywood arrived, it did so with overwhelming speed. Success brought opportunity, admiration, and financial freedom, but it also intensified the internal pressures Depp had carried since childhood. The sudden expectations of fame, schedules, scrutiny, and public identity collided with unresolved emotional wounds. While his performances earned praise and loyal audiences, the pace of success left little room for grounding. Fame magnified both strengths and vulnerabilities, creating a life that looked enviable from the outside while remaining emotionally demanding behind closed doors. The balance between personal well-being and professional obligation became increasingly difficult to maintain, especially in an industry that rarely pauses for reflection. Fatherhood and a shift in perspective. The arrival of Depp's children marked one of the most grounding chapters of his life. Becoming a father introduced a sense of responsibility that went far beyond career or reputation. His relationship with his children, particularly Lily Rose, reshaped his priorities in profound ways. Parenthood brought purpose, anchoring him emotionally and offering clarity about what truly mattered. In moments away from film sets and public appearances, family life provided a quieter rhythm, one defined by presence rather than performance. It was within this role that Depp found some of his deepest motivation to grow, protect, and endure. A medical crisis that changed everything. One of the most defining and painful experiences of Depp's life occurred when his daughter Lily Rose became critically ill while he was working abroad. What began as a seemingly minor injury escalated into a serious medical emergency, requiring extended hospitalization. For days that felt endless, Depp and her mother remained by her bedside, navigating fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty. In that hospital room, fame, success, and accolades became meaningless. The only thing that mattered was hope. When Lily Rose eventually recovered, the relief was overwhelming, a moment Depp has described as transformative. That experience permanently altered his understanding of life's fragility and reinforced the importance of presence, gratitude, and family over all else. Trust, success, and financial collapse. Despite decades of success, Depp's financial foundation quietly eroded due to mismanagement by individuals he trusted. The realization that his earnings had been mishandled came as a profound shock, not only because of the scale of the losses, but because of the personal betrayal involved. The situation forced him to reassess relationships he once considered secure and confront the vulnerability that comes with delegating control. Selling properties and restructuring his finances marked a humbling chapter, one that underscored how trust, when misplaced, can have lasting consequences. It was a painful reminder that success does not guarantee protection from misjudgment or exploitation. Coping mechanisms and personal struggles. Like many individuals navigating long-term stress and unresolved emotional pain, Depp turned at times to unhealthy coping mechanisms. These behaviors, which intensified under pressure, affected his health and personal relationships. While often discussed publicly in simplified or sensational terms, the reality was far more complex, shaped by exhaustion, emotional overload, and the absence of adequate support structures. Over time, these struggles took a visible toll, reinforcing the truth that unresolved inner turmoil rarely remains hidden. Acknowledging these challenges became an important step toward accountability and healing. Relationships shaped by complexity. Depp's personal relationships reflected both his capacity for deep connection and the difficulties of sustaining stability amid internal and external pressures. His long-term partnership with Vanessa Paradis provided years of family life and mutual support, yet even that relationship was not immune to strain. Later, relationships unfolded under intense public scrutiny, transforming private conflicts into global conversations. These experiences revealed how fame complicates intimacy, magnifying misunderstandings and limiting the space for quiet resolution. The emotional fallout left lasting impressions, shaping how Depp approached trust, vulnerability, and personal boundaries moving forward. When private life became public narrative, legal disputes and media attention exposed deeply personal aspects of Depp's life to global audiences. Court proceedings, headlines, and commentary reduced complex human experiences into digestible narratives, often lacking nuance or empathy. While legal outcomes varied, the emotional cost was undeniable. Privacy, once fiercely guarded, became nearly impossible to reclaim. The process forced Depp to confront not only the events themselves, but the reality of living under constant public interpretation. It was a period defined by exhaustion, reflection, and the challenge of separating identity from narrative. A career interrupted. As controversy grew, professional opportunities narrowed. Studios became cautious, weighing risk over legacy, and long-standing collaborations came to an end. Roles that once seemed guaranteed disappeared, forcing Depp to reevaluate his relationship with the industry that had defined much of his life. Yet within this disruption came unexpected freedom. Independent films and international projects offered creative control and artistic satisfaction, even if they lacked mainstream reach. The shift marked not an end, but a redefinition, a move away from spectacle toward substance. Music as a place of healing. Throughout periods of uncertainty, music remained a constant source of solace. Performing with longtime friends and collaborators allowed Depp to reconnect with creativity without expectation or judgment. Music offered immediacy, honesty, and emotional release, qualities often absent from public life. On stage, there were no headlines or verdicts, only shared experience. This return to his earliest artistic passion provided grounding and reminded him why creation mattered in the first place. Rebuilding with intention. Rebuilding a life after public upheaval requires patience, humility, and intention. For Depp, this meant reevaluating priorities, rebuilding trust slowly, and choosing projects that aligned with personal values rather than external validation. Financial restructuring, creative independence, and quieter living became part of this recalibration. Progress was not immediate, but it was deliberate. Each step forward reflected a commitment to growth rather than restoration of the past. Redefining success. Through hardship, Depp's understanding of success evolved. Awards, box office numbers, and public approval lost their centrality, replaced by values rooted in integrity, creativity, and connection. Success became less about recognition and more about alignment, living in a way that felt honest and sustainable. Relationships with trusted collaborators and loved ones gained renewed importance, while superficial measures of achievement faded into the background. Public perception and the long road to redemption. Public opinion rarely moves in unison. As time passed, audiences and filmmakers began reassessing Depp's work with greater nuance, recognizing both artistic contribution and personal complexity. Redemption, however, proved to be a gradual and imperfect process. It required consistency, accountability, and patience, not declarations, but actions. European film communities and independent creators offered space for that process, demonstrating that growth is possible when allowed room to occur. The role of family moving forward. Throughout every chapter, Depp's children remained central to his sense of purpose. Their presence offered grounding and motivation, reminding him of the responsibility and love that transcend public narratives. Fatherhood became not just a role, but a compass, guiding decisions and reinforcing the importance of stability, honesty, and presence. In their lives, he found both accountability and hope. Lessons carved by experience. Depp's journey illustrates the complexity of human resilience. It is a story shaped by creativity and consequence, success and vulnerability. Each chapter, from childhood instability to public scrutiny, contributed lessons that could not have been learned otherwise. Trust must be earned and protected. Healing requires honesty. And rebuilding, while difficult, is possible with patience and support. A life beyond headlines. Stripped of spectacle, Depp's story is not one of perfection or victimhood, but of endurance. It reveals the cost of unresolved pain, the danger of unchecked trust, and the power of creativity as refuge. It also underscores how easily public narratives flatten deeply human experiences. Beyond the headlines exists a person still learning, creating, and evolving, moving forward with caution and hope. Today, Johnny Depp moves forward with a quieter sense of purpose. He chooses projects selectively, values privacy more deeply, and approaches life with lessons hard-earned. While the past cannot be rewritten, it can inform a more intentional future. Creativity remains central, but now grounded in reflection rather than escape. Legacy beyond fame. Ultimately, Depp's legacy is not defined solely by fame or controversy, but by resilience and artistic contribution. His life serves as a reminder that human beings are not static, and that growth often emerges from adversity. Through music, film, and family, he continues to shape a narrative rooted not in perfection, but in perseverance. Conclusion: the measure of endurance. Johnny Depp's life story reflects the complexity of navigating personal struggle under public scrutiny. It demonstrates how resilience is built not through avoidance of hardship, but through confronting it with honesty and creativity. His journey reminds us that success is fragile, healing is ongoing, and meaning can still be found after loss. In continuing to create, connect, and reflect, Depp illustrates that endurance, not perfection, is what ultimately defines a life well lived.